Hey Bass Fanatics, Fish Den 365 here. It's Christmas time, and so I thought I'd make a video about some Christmas gift suggestions for the fishermen in your life. So we'll talk about that briefly. We're going to go into some stocking stuffers for spring, summer, fall, and winter, starting with winter. And then we'll talk about what to do for some of the bigger items that you may want to purchase for your fishermen this Christmas. But before we go into that, I thought I'd give you an update on how the fishing has been. The last time we were out was December 6th, and we were back out fishing for hybrid stripers in a lake in southeastern PA. If you've been following my videos, you know that we've been slamming those stripers quite well in the last couple of weeks. And we went out on this particular Wednesday. It was a post-frontal day. The day before, it was rainy and quite windy. And so this day, Wednesday the 6th, was a little bit windy at first, and it started to settle down, and the temperature was falling throughout the day. And one of the things that was interesting was right away when I got there, it was mid-afternoon, and I caught a walleye at about 18-19 feet of water. I have footage of that. You can see that right now. Folks, it's December 6th, 2:22 p.m. I'm back out here fishing for these hybrids, and I got this beautiful walleye. This is a big fish, folks. Good fish, good walleye. I'm going to pick him up and put him back here now and make sure he don't bite me. So, man, he's a good fish. Alright, he's back. But when it came to the hybrid stripers, we started to struggle. We were not able to catch them at the same time that we caught them in the previous 3 trips. So it was strange. We knew where they were. We found them on the graph. We were vertically jigging for them with the same baits that we had been successful with previously, but we couldn't get them to bite. And if you remember in the past, they were biting mid-afternoon from about maybe 2 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon primarily. And then after 4 o'clock, we couldn't get them to bite. Well, in this particular instance, when I was there on the 6th, it was just the opposite. They didn't bite until 4 o'clock, and I actually got some between about 4 and 20 after 4. I got a good 8-pounder. I thought I had it on video. Unfortunately, I didn't. And then I was able to catch a second fish after that, a smaller hybrid, and we'll show you the footage of that right now. I've been throwing in these things all day. They're all over the place out here. Could not catch any until just now, late in the day here. See if I can get another one. Got him on the jig. I had a bite finally on the blade bait. I couldn't get anything on the blade, but I did have the bite on that, and then I switched to this jig, and he ate it almost immediately on the first hop off the bottom. So maybe they're gonna be a little more active now. There was a big giant school of them out here. I still see some on the finder. I might have broken them up a little bit when I hooked that fish. I tried to get him out of that school as fast as I could so as not to spook that school or break it up. But I'm still seeing a lot of arches down here on the graph. Finally got one. Really made me work for it. He fought hard. I think they're grouped up in one giant school. If you find the school, you could find a few active ones. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. There's one. Back out here, 24 feet. Well, at least we got a fight on video here, folks. This is good. Coming up. Another nice hybrid. .4 feet is the ticket, and so is this jig right now. Look at these things. Cool. Oh, he stole my bait. No, he didn't. It's still in there. It's in his mouth. There he is, folks. Beautiful hybrid. We'll put him back. Oh, he's biting me. All right. Okay, so we're back here to talk about the Christmas list what to buy your fisherman this Christmas. It's getting close to Christmas. We're less than a week away now. We have 6 days till Christmas. And so I thought I better get this video out very quickly. But I know there's a lot of last minute shoppers out there. And if you're struggling as to what to get for your fisherman or what to look for, this might be helpful for you. So it's wintertime now. We'll start with what is good for fishing in the winter. So if you have a loved one that likes to fish in the winter, the first thing I would recommend is this, a fishing license, because come the end of this year, at least in most states, you're going to need a new license. So starting in January, if you want to fish, you'll need a license. In Pennsylvania, where I live, getting a license has never been easier. You can get on the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission website, and you can just order the license there and print it out for yourself. So it's a very easy way to get a license. The other nice thing, it's a PDF, so you can save it. So if your fisherman loses his license and you have it on your computer, you can just print out another one. Very simple to get the license that way, and I assume that most states are the same way. Another good gift for the winter fisherman are these. Fishing in the winter can be very pleasurable, but it can turn to being very miserable quickly if your hands and feet get cold. So hand warmers and feet warmers are always a good idea for the fisherman in your life that fishes in the wintertime. All right, let's talk about some stocking stuffer baits. So wintertime fishing, I never go out in the winter without these guys. These are blade baits. These are from Bass Pro Shops, and they're called XPS laser blades. XPS means Extreme Performance Series, and these are blade baits that I have found to be very effective. I always change the hooks on them. The nice thing about these blade baits is they do come with split rings. Not all of them do. And so I put Gamakatsu EWG hooks on these blade baits. They're a little bit oversized. They're size 4, but I have a much better hookup ratio that way. You will tend to lose some baits as a result of having the bigger hooks, but it's worth it not to lose those bigger fish. So blade baits are a great option. This is at Bass Pro, and we'll have all the links available to you on the description below on this video. So we'll make sure that we include everything that we're talking about here in the description so you can find the links and find out what we're talking about, so you don't have to worry about writing it down or listing it as we go through these. Another good wintertime lure is a spoon. Now there's a ton of good spoons out there, Castmaster. These are made from a company called Blade Runner. They're called Blade Runner Duh spoons, D-U-H, and I prefer fishing these. It's almost the only spoon I fish these days. I also fish some spoons that are just generic spoons that come from Jan's Netcraft. We'll talk a little bit more about Jan's a little while later on this video. So they come in multiple colors, and they're very effective fish catchers. Then one of the other baits that I've been using these baits very recently. You can see them on my videos. I also like using a small jig head like this, and I'll pair it with a bait like this. This is a Kitech Easy Shiner. Again, the links will be down below. So this is a good wintertime bait. And as the water gets extremely cold, I like to go to another bait. This is when the water is 40 degrees and lower. So when the water gets into the 30s, this is a Man's Stingray Grub. It's an old lure. It's been around a long time. It's one of the best cold water baits you can use. Hair jigs also are very good, but this guy catches fish when the water's cold. It doesn't have a lot of action to it. It's a kind of a do-nothing bait, but that's what the fish like in the wintertime. So I'll always fish this on the lightest jig head that I can get away with, and it just has this slow, subtle fall to it, and the fish really like it. Okay, let's talk about springtime. Springtime is a great time to fish jerk baits. These are 2 very good jerk baits that are readily available today. This is a Lucky Craft Pointer 100, and this is a Rapala X-Rap. Both Lucky Craft and Rapala have multiple versions of their jerk baits, and all of them catch fish. They all have a time and a place, and they're both very good companies when it comes to buying jerk baits. The other jerk bait that is very good is from Mega Bass. They have something called an Ito, which is a very good jerk bait. It's a little bit expensive, but it's another jerk bait that catches fish. Can't fish springtime without spinner baits. This is a spinner bait. This one is made by Nichols. It's called a Nichols Pulsator. It's one of my favorites. I also like War Eagle spinner baits. So those are also great baits for the springtime. And then finally we have some square bill crankbaits. This one is a Strike King square bill, and this one is made by Storm. It's called an Arashi square bill. And this color, by the way, is very good in early spring. So this red color can be a killer in early spring. two good square bill crankbaits to fish here. Now as we get a little bit later in spring and closer to the spawn, and then after post-spawn, a number of other lures come into play. One of them I don't have here with me, but it's one of the most common lures you can find out there. It's called a Yamamoto Senko. It's a do-nothing bait. It's actually shaped like a ballpoint pen, and you just put a hook in it, throw it out there, and you just let it fall. And it does its own thing. It has a very seductive wiggle to it. It's a great bait to use. It actually works all year long. The Senko works all year long. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. The other good baits to use, especially as you're getting from spring into summer, are some topwater lures. These are some buzz baits. These are a buzz bait called a Cavatron. It was made by Lee Bailey. These are still available today, so I'll put a link in there for these. These are my favorite. Has that ringing noise. And the bass really like that. And it stays up on the surface very easily. Great buzz baits, Cavatrons. Another great lure here for topwater. This is called a Lucky Craft Gunfish. Very good topwater lure at that time of year. As the season progresses, we get into summertime now. So deep in the summer, crankbaits like this one, deep diving crankbaits, become important. This is a Norman DD22. It's one of my favorite crankbaits. This thing flat out catches fish, and it's at a reasonable price. It's just a very good deep diving crankbait. As you get into the middle of summer, you have a lot of thick weed growth. The lily pads are fully up to the surface. You have milfoil beds, and that's when these surface lures become important. Here's some Copper's topwater lures. This is a Copper live target mouse, and this is a Copper's sunfish. These are good baits to use in the slop. And then we have frog style baits like this. This one here is made by Savage Gear. It's a very inexpensive frog, but I found it to be quite good. It performs very well. And this one is a river to sea, I believe it's called a bullywah. It's another frog type bait that works very well in the summertime. Summertime is also soft plastic time, and one of the best soft plastics that I know of is the Reaction Innovations Sweet Beaver. This is what the bait looks like. This color is called Hematoma. It's one of the better colors to use in summer. And this is a fish catching lure come summertime. What you do with this is you usually you Texas rig the bait with a weight. It could be anywhere from a 1/4 ounce to 1.5 ounces, depending on what you're trying to do with the bait. Punching it through weeds, fishing it deep versus shallow, but the thing just flat out catches fish. Just got interrupted by the mailman, but my Bass Pro Shops package is here. That's always good. Can't wait to see what I've got in here. Okay, and then finally we have, fall is always a good time to throw a football head jig. I don't have a football head jig at the moment to show you, but we'll put some links in for some of the various good football head jigs that are out there on the market today. I also like throwing swim baits quite a bit in fall, and this is one that's from Huddleston, and it's called a weedless shad. I'm going to open this up for you and show this to you. I don't think I've ever talked about this bait before, but this is a killer. This is a killer bait. Take a look at that. That thing looks great, and it's as effective as a Senko. It has a very seductive fall. It does this on the fall, but then when you reel it in, this tail has a pretty decent action. It's subtle. It's not nearly as wide as some other swim baits, but the thing is completely weedless. The hook is right here. So hopefully you can see the hook sticking out right there on the top. So you can throw this in the thickest of weeds and just move it along the weeds on top, or you can just let it sink to the bottom. I've caught fish in so many different ways with this bait. Giving away some of my secrets here. This is a great bait to have, the Huddleston Weedless Shad. Here's another Huddleston bait. This is a little bit of a bigger model, and so this is a Huddleston swim bait. I believe this one is a 6-inch version. You can see it's got a hook out on the top. A lot of people will rig these so that they have a stinger hook on here. That could be a subject for another video in the future. Just give me a shout in the comments if you have an interest in that. And then finally, one of the better swim baits out there is the Kitech Swing Impact Fat. Great swim bait. Show it to you. Give you a little bit of a better view of it by opening up. This tail has one of the best thumps on it out of any swim bait. It's just a killer. And I've found that you can just reel this thing straight in and it'll catch plenty of fish, but a lot of times on the fall, if you can get a lighter weight on the front of this thing, or a belly weighted hook that's not too heavy, the slower it falls, the better it catches fish in a lot of cases. And it's because this unique bait has this crazy tail wag on the fall, and it's just something the fish just can't seem to stand. It catches a lot of fish. Great swim bait here. So there are some ideas for the stocking stuffers. Now let's talk about some of the more expensive gear, some of the more expensive gifts. So when it comes to buying more expensive items for your fishermen, like rods, reels, electronics, I actually suggest that you don't do it unless you know exactly what your fisherman wants. And the reason for that is, even if you know that your fisherman wants a Abu Garcia reel, for example, and even if you know that it's a Revo or the particular model, there are still a number of other factors that you have to choose. One of them, for example, is the gear ratio, the retrieve speed of that reel. It could be anywhere from 5.1 to 1 to up over 9 to 1. And so depending on what your fisherman is looking to do, he has specific application, and you can get that reel and it's not going to be what he wants because it doesn't have the right hand retrieve versus left hand retrieve or the proper gear ratio. There's just a lot to select when it comes to reels today. And the same is true for rods. There's so many different actions and lengths in rods. The rods are now technique specific. In other words, you have topwater rods, you have flipping and pitching rods, you have swim bait rods, frog rods, all types of different types of rods. And so unless you know the exact make and model of what your fisherman wants, I suggest that you don't try and buy that for them. Instead, get them a gift card so that they can go and select exactly what they want. So that's what we're going to talk about next, a number of different tackle places that are good to get gift cards for. So two of the first ones that come to mind right away are Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops. Bass Pro Shops has bought Cabela's quite recently. The nice thing about that is they haven't changed the Cabela brand yet, and so a Cabela gift card is now good at Bass Pro Shops, and a Bass Pro Shops' gift card is now good at Cabela's. So one gift card is good for both places. You just have to get it converted when you go there. But it's a simple process, and so that's a very good way to go. And they're readily available. You can go to a CVS or one of the other stores and pick up the gift cards that way. So that's a good option there. Some anglers, though, are after certain things that you can't get at Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops. They're only available at some of the specialty places. And one of the best ones is Tackle Warehouse. Now, Tackle Warehouse is located in California, but you can order online. They have a very easy and very good website to use, and you can get things shipped quickly from there. They're a very good tackle supplier, and they have things that you cannot get at Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's. Locally here in Pennsylvania, we have one called Susquehanna Fishing Tackle. If you go into your search engine and search on SFT Tackle, Susquehanna Fishing Tackle, it'll come up. Another very good tackle store that has a lot available either at their site, which is in York County, or you can order online. The nice thing about Susquehanna Tackle is if you're from Pennsylvania and you order from there, you'll get it quite quickly. They get things out very quickly in the mail. It could save you on some shipping costs, and it's just nice to have them available. Bass Tackle Depot is another decent website that you can order from. Another one would be landbigfish.com. They have some other items that might not be available at Bass Pro or at Cabela's. And then lastly, I'll recommend this one. This is called Jan's Netcraft. They've been around for a long time. This is a catalog. If your fisherman is a tinkerer, then this is the catalog. This is maybe the gift card or gift certificate to get for them. You can get online on Jan's Netcraft. And again, I'll put all these in the links, and you can order a gift card that way, or you can just call them and order a gift card. But the nice thing about Jan's is it's got all kinds of components for making lures. So if you have a fisherman that likes to make his own lures, or to tinker, or make his own jigs, there's jig molds galore in this catalog. Oops, I lost my spot here. And there's also lures available, but there's all types of lure components for making fishing lures. So if you have a tinker or someone that likes to make his own, I recommend Jan's Netcraft. It's a very good outfit. They've been around for a long time, and you can get quite a bit of nice things from them. Well, folks, I hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a fantastic New Year. Here's to great fishing in the new year for all of us. And again, Merry Christmas to all. I will be coming out with another video shortly, probably within the next few days, and it'll be about how to sharpen hooks. So take a look at that if you have an interest. Also, I'm thinking about doing a video about trout fishing and baits and lures that are effective for trout. If that sounds like something of interest to you, then please put that in the comments and let me know. I appreciate it. Remember, we're certified Bassified. Christmas is here. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy New Year. May God bless your fishing endeavors.
Because I remember taking this picture over and over again too.